The streets of downtown Los Angeles became a scene of significant turmoil on June 8, 2025, as protests erupted against ongoing operations by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. What began as a demonstration quickly escalated into a riot, marked by property destruction and confrontations with law enforcement. The event drew considerable attention not only for its intensity, but also for the specific targets of the crowd's anger. Among the most striking images from the day were those of several Waymo autonomous vehicles being vandalized and ultimately set ablaze, their advanced technology consumed by flames. This destruction of property signaled a level of organized agitation that went beyond a simple expression of dissent, raising serious questions about the forces that may have been orchestrating the chaos behind the scenes. The protests were ostensibly organized to oppose federal immigration policies, a cause that resonates with many communities in Southern California. However, the nature of the event suggests that the grievances over immigration may have been co-opted by more radical elements with a broader, more disruptive agenda. The coordinated actions and the presence of professionally printed signs pointed to a level of organization that is not always present in spontaneous grassroots movements. The specific targeting of Waymo vehicles, symbols of technological progress and corporate enterprise, suggests an ideological motivation aimed at disrupting the American economic system itself. This calculated destruction hints at a deeper strategy, one that seeks to exploit legitimate social issues to fuel instability and advance a revolutionary political vision. Among the most visible groups promoting and participating in the demonstration was the Party for Socialism and Liberation, or PSL. This organization was highly active on social media platforms in the days leading up to the protest, issuing calls for mass mobilization and encouraging followers to take to the streets. During the event itself, many of the signs carried by protesters were provided by the PSL, bearing slogans that aligned with the group's far-left political ideology. The PSL's involvement provides a crucial lens through which to analyze the riots, moving the focus from a singular issue of immigration to a larger context of anti-capitalist and anti-government agitation, which has been a hallmark of the organization's activities for many years. The PSL is not merely a domestic political party, it has a long and documented history of ideological alignment with foreign communist regimes, most notably the Chinese Communist Party. The group has openly praised CCP founder Mao Zedong, a figure responsible for tens of millions of deaths, and has actively engaged in historical revisionism by denying the brutal reality of the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre. This ideological sympathy is not a passive stance, but an active component of the PSL's identity. Therefore, their central role in the Los Angeles riots raises the alarming possibility that the unrest was not just an American issue, but was potentially influenced or amplified by groups that serve the interests of a foreign adversary. The connection between groups like the Party for Socialism and Liberation and the Chinese Communist Party is not just ideological, it is also sustained through a complex and opaque network of financial support. A key figure at the center of this network is Neville Singham, an American tech millionaire now based in Shanghai. According to a detailed 2023 investigation by the New York Times, Singham is at the helm of a lavishly funded influence campaign that defends China and pushes its propaganda. After selling his software company ThoughtWorks for $785 million in 2017, Singham allegedly funneled hundreds of millions of dollars through various American nonprofit organizations to fund a global web of groups that blend progressive advocacy with pro-CCP talking points. One of the primary beneficiaries of Singham's financial network is an organization known as the People's Forum, a New York-based group that has received tens of millions of dollars in donations. The link to the PSL is direct and undeniable. The People's Forum was founded by Claudia de la Cruz, who was the PSL's presidential candidate in the 2024 election. This financial relationship creates a pipeline where vast sums of money, originating from a pro-CCP operative, can flow directly into the ecosystem of one of America's most prominent far-left parties. This funding enables organizations like the PSL to maintain their infrastructure, produce materials, and mobilize activists for events like the Los Angeles anti-ICE riots, effectively subsidizing domestic unrest. The influence extends beyond direct activism into the realm of media and information. Several key leaders within the PSL are also deeply involved with Breakthrough BT Media Inc., a media organization that also receives funding from Singham's network. This outlet, branded as Breakthrough News, consistently promotes narratives that align with the strategic interests of the Chinese government. PSL founding member Ben Becker and former PSL political candidates Carla Reyes and Yari Osorio all hold leadership positions within Breakthrough News. This overlap ensures that the political activism of the PSL is amplified by a media apparatus that pushes pro-CCP propaganda, creating a synchronized effort to shape public opinion and fuel political division within the United States. This intricate structure allows for a sophisticated form of indirect influence. While the CCP may not be writing checks directly to protesters on the streets of Los Angeles, it can leverage wealthy sympathizers like Singham to finance a network of nonprofits, activist groups, and media outlets that do its bidding. These organizations then work to inflame domestic tensions over sensitive issues like immigration, gun control, or racial inequality. The ultimate goal is to weaken the United States from within by exacerbating social divisions, eroding trust in institutions, and promoting an ideological alternative that is favorable to Beijing's global ambitions. The riots in Los Angeles serve as a stark example of this strategy in action. The strategy of leveraging domestic unrest to advance a revolutionary agenda is not a new phenomenon in the United States. There are clear historical parallels that demonstrate a consistent pattern of behavior by communist and Maoist groups. During the 1992 Rodney King riots in Los Angeles, for instance, the Maoist Revolutionary Communist Party, or RCP, actively worked to exploit the chaos. The group's national spokesman at the time, Carl Dix, was candid about their objectives, stating in a Los Angeles Times interview that the goal was not reform, but an armed revolution to overthrow the capitalist system and establish a Marxist-Leninist Maoist society. This historical precedent shows how radical groups view such moments of crisis as prime opportunities for recruitment and radicalization. This pattern continued in subsequent years. Following the 2016 presidential election, members of the same Revolutionary Communist Party were instrumental in creating a coalition called Refuse Fascism. This group's stated mission was to remove the newly elected Trump administration from office through sustained street protests and civil disobedience. Their activities were not aimed at participating in the democratic process, but at subverting it entirely. More recently, in 2025, the RCP's social media accounts were actively promoting protests against Donald Trump's second inauguration, demonstrating an unwavering commitment to using public disruption as a political tool. These examples highlight a long-term strategy employed by such groups to capitalize on political polarization and social instability. A particularly concerning front for this influence campaign is the American University campus. Students from institutions like Cal State Northridge, UC Berkeley, and Sacramento State were noted participants in the recent anti-ICE protests. With an estimated 100,000 college students in California lacking permanent legal status, the issue of immigration is a potent mobilizing force. However, this genuine student concern can be exploited by CCP-linked organizations on campus. Chinese Students and Scholars Associations, or CSSAs, which exist at universities across the country, are known to be overseen and funded by Chinese embassies and consulates. These associations fall under the purview of the CCP's United Front Work Department, an agency dedicated to expanding the party's influence abroad. The record of CSSAs acting as extensions of the CCP is well documented. In 2015, students were reportedly paid to attend and welcome Xi Jinping during his visit to Washington. In 2017, CSSAs at UC Berkeley, Harvard, and Georgetown engaged in coordinated campaigns to promote the CCP's ideology during its party plenum. In more extreme cases, temporary CCP party cells have been established on American campuses, including at UC San Diego and the University of Illinois. This campus infrastructure provides a ready-made network for the CCP to monitor Chinese students, suppress dissenting views, and mobilize activists to participate in protests that align with Beijing's goal of destabilizing American society. The growing evidence of these influence operations has not gone unnoticed by U.S. officials, who are increasingly sounding the alarm about the threat posed by the Chinese Communist Party's activities within American borders. In October 2024, Representative Dan Newhouse of Washington issued a stark warning, stating that the CCP's campaign of malign influence poses a direct threat to American industry, jobs, and national security. This sentiment is shared across a bipartisan consensus in Washington, where lawmakers recognize that Beijing's ambitions extend far beyond economic competition and into the realm of political and social subversion. The goal is to weaken the United States, its primary global competitor, from the inside out. This campaign of influence is conducted through what the CCP itself calls its United Front work strategy. Chinese leader Xi Jinping has referred to this strategy as a magic weapon, a tool for co-opting and neutralizing opposition while building support for the party's objectives. The House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party has extensively documented how this magic weapon is deployed against the United States. It involves a sophisticated, multi-pronged effort to influence key sectors of American society, including businesses, academic institutions, media outlets, and political organizations at the federal, state, and local levels. The ultimate objective is to manipulate American public opinion and policy to suit Beijing's interests. The protests in Los Angeles represent a microcosm of how this strategy works in practice. By funding and supporting radical groups like the PSL through intermediaries, the CCP can maintain plausible deniability while still achieving its goals. These groups then exploit genuine social grievances, such as those related to immigration policy, to stoke division, incite chaos, and undermine public trust in democratic institutions and law enforcement. The resulting instability serves Beijing's strategic interests by distracting and weakening American society, making the U.S. less capable of challenging the CCP's actions on the global stage, whether in the South China Sea, Taiwan, or in the economic domain. Ultimately, the concern among U.S. officials is that these are not isolated incidents but part of a deliberate, long-term campaign to reshape the global order in the CCP's favor. The battle is not just being fought with tariffs and military hardware, it is also a battle of ideas and influence being waged on American streets, on college campuses, and on social media feeds. The riots in Los Angeles, fueled by a network with clear financial and ideological ties to pro-CCP figures, are a clear warning. They demonstrate the urgent need for greater public awareness and a robust response to counter the CCP's hidden hand in American political life and protect the integrity of U.S. domestic affairs.